the Clearlake City Council chambers located here at 14050 Olympic Drive in Clearlake, California. Today is Thursday, April 20th, 2023. It's 6 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Slotin.
Here.
Councilmember Overton.
Here.
Councilmember Kremer.
Here.
Vice Mayor Claffey.
Here.
Mayor Purdock.
Here. Councilmember Overton, will you lead us in the pledge?
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. If you could just remain standing for a brief invocation. Our Father in heaven, we ask you to come with us and join tonight, that you may lead and guide us with your spirit, that we can do good work for the citizens of Clear Lake and those who come here as guests and love to visit our beautiful area. We ask for a blessing upon our employees and staff. They're out working around the clock 24 hours to improve and bring the better service and quality of life to those who visit us and live here. Father, we ask for peace in our nation. We ask for peace in our state and county. And most of all, we ask for peace and resilience for those here living in our beautiful city. We ask for all these things and give you the glory through the Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all very much. All right, Mr. Flora, any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, two changes to the agenda. Item number 2, we like to put that off. There's a certificate involved with this presentation that's either on a little white or little brown truck still. So we put that off to the next meeting. And then I'd like to ask the council to consider adding an emergency item to the agenda tonight for reconsideration of the contract approval with Argonaut Contractors for the 18th Avenue project. So in the last couple of days, we became aware of one of the funders of that project, sort of a procedural requirement that we need to address. So I don't know how you want to do it, Mr. Mayor. You could take a vote now to add that to the agenda if you would like. Takes a 4/5 vote. And then we could consider it under the business section if you choose to.
Is there a requirement for public comment on this? Thank you. Council, you've heard the request of our city manager. I'd like to open this up for any discussion among us at this time. Very good. Then I'd like to open it up for public comment. I'd like to bring this item back to your consideration and for the business of the city. Would anyone like to speak on this matter that we'll be hearing as an emergency item on this meeting agenda? Madam Clerk, is there anyone on Zoom that would like to make a comment?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to add the emergency item as described by City Manager Flora to our agenda and approve the amended agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Councilmember Kramer and a second by Councilmember Slotin. All those in favor? I don't know if it's on our voting list yet, but let's try it.
Adoption of agenda.
There it goes. Very good. Madam Clerk, do you have a tally of the votes yet?
I can't seem to get mine to open.
We have tech support headed your way, Councilmember Kramer.
How did you do that?
Softer button.
Softer.
All right.
Okay.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Very good. Thank you all.
And then you'll still need to go ahead and adopt the agenda And then hopefully based on the recommendation to remove item number 2.
2.
Oh,
All right, so I'm ready to entertain the second motion.
I'll move that we approve the amended agenda, adding one emergency item and delete item number 2.
I'll second.
Item 2 from the presentations.
Right.
Have a motion to amend the agenda and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. I don't think we can do it again.
Aye.
You can't do it again.
No, you can't do
vote
it
on the
twice.
agenda.
Yeah. Madam Clerk, would you just do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Slotin,
Aye.
Councilmember Overton,
Aye.
Councilmember Kremer,
aye.
Vice Mayor Claffey,
Aye.
Mayor Purdock,
Aye. Motion passes. Now getting on to presentations. We have a pretty big one coming up right at the top of the list. Let me scroll down there again, which is the swearing in of Ms. Chelsea Banks as our Records and Communications Supervisor. Chelsea, would you like to come up and meet the chief?
Mayor, members of the council. Tonight, we're here for this presentation to the swearing in of Chelsea Banks as the new Records and Communications Supervisor. I give a brief introduction of her before we get to the swearing in. Chelsea was born and raised in the Clearlake area. She has a husband and 3 children who are all present here tonight. She enjoys reading, camping with her family, spends her free time at the racetrack where 2 of her sons race. Just a little timeline on her time working with the city. In July of 2015, she was hired on at City Hall to work for code enforcement technician when code enforcement was part of the City Hall. She did a really good job there and impressed a lot of people and was a very dedicated hard worker. Luckily for the police department, unfortunately for City Hall side at the time, about 3 years after that, we hired her as a dispatcher. She picked that up very quickly and did very well for the 4.5 years that she was a dispatcher. Earlier this year, we did testing to get a replacement for the dispatch supervisor or Records and Communications Supervisor that had retired. Through the testing process, Chelsea came out at top of the list, and that's why she's here today after getting this promotion. So go ahead and move forward with the swearing in.
Thank you, Chief.
I state your name.
I, Chelsea Banks,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Why don't we take a couple-minute break recess for some family pictures? This is a big deal. So Chelsea, bring up who you want and get your pictures taken.
Presentation of flowers.
And the presentation of balloons and flowers and hugs from the guys in blue. If they want to come up, congratulate you. Thanks for being here, everyone.
Now our halls will be empty.
When everybody run off, we got an action-packed meeting tonight. Thanks, Chief.
Yeah. That soapbox car going with him.
There's a good one. Congratulations, Chelsea. And thanks to every one of your family members, not just here tonight, but that are going to be loving and accepting when you called to stay over or called in to come in work early and cover a shift and all the things that happen, right, Chief? Right? It's a big commitment. Thank you for making it. All right, we'll reconvene now. Lieutenant Ryan, are you ready to offer a presentation on April's adoptable dogs? I'm sorry, Lieutenant Peterson. Jumped into a first name basis. I apologize, sir. Thank you, sir.
January 1st, 2023.
If I could just get you to stand by, our audio is telling us the microphone is not turned on.
How about now?
I believe I can hear it now.
Is it on now?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Sorry.
So I'll start over.
Thank
So from January 1st, 2023 to April 20th of 2023, 107 dogs have come into the shelter. There were 78 that have left the shelter, 30 rescues or to other facilities, which account for 38.5% of that. 33 were returned to owners, which account for 42.3% of that. 15 were adopted, which is 19.2%. 0 were euthanized. That's a live release rate of 100%. In my understanding from the numbers from the last time I was here, but that wasn't accounting for the numbers of dogs that were at the shelter from the previous year. Currently at our shelter, there are 62 dogs. The last time I was in front of the council, I believe there was about 80 dogs in the shelter. So they are making progress on lowering the numbers and doing what is needing to be done at this time.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
You're welcome.
Yeah, go ahead.
How many animals is our facility actually hold? I mean, supposed to hold.
So as you know, when we first took over the animal control, we started using the public works part of the hangar to facilitate some of that. Then we had the new portion of the hangar or a portion of the animal control, what they call the L, built. That facilitates up to 30 dogs, the L. And that is really what should be utilized for emergency purposes only is what the rest of the shelter is for, not for how, permanent housing of the animals. So that was the whole purpose of the L being built.
We thought about having, some like it would have been nice, like at the Clearlake cleanup days, we had maybe some animals there and a little thing can we do that? Where the, more public than just at the shelter. I'm just wondering if those are something that like maybe the 4th of July and stuff like that that's coming
Well,
up.
some of that has been done. I mean, I do want to remind the council, this isn't a discussion item, but yeah, I mean, we can encourage them to do more events like that. But I do think it is important to point out that, based on the information I shared with the council last time, they haven't completely removed all the dogs from the shop area, but they're making progress on that. There's no more dogs being held in temporary crates and that type of thing. And they're continuing to reduce the population per the direction given. So, and we will have a agenda item at some point here after the conclusion of the investigation that's currently underway by Lieutenant Peterson. So that would be the appropriate time to talk in a little more detail about this.
Thank you, Mr. Flora. Thank you, Lieutenant.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your report. And now we have something, what was it? Our fund manager? Chief Director of Fund has some presentations to present.
We'll do that one during public comment.
We're going to do this one during public comment. She's going to do something else right now.
Yes, sir. Good evening. I'm here to present the third quarter presentation for our recreation division. We're going to discuss milestones from this quarter that were promised when the department was originally established. We are actively working. Back one up. There you go. We are actively working on the program book and we are expanding community engagement. So in this slide, you'll see back in February, Councilmember Overton and I, we were invited to the commissioner camp for the junior Giants. It was quite fun. And then we met the CEO of the Giants and we learned about implementing and we networked with other Giants clubs and we got it was a lot of information packed into one day, but we constantly get, one-on-one with the Giants Fund and our registration is already open. I don't have exact totals tonight, but I can get them for you. We have people signing up to play and we have people signing up to volunteer.
Great.
Go ahead. Well, Junior Giants registration had opened. We are continuing with our partnership with Canocta Unified. We have connected with the Youth Soccer League to get more involved with them. It is our understanding they meet in Kelseyville and they're the Clearlake Club. So let's get them over here and work with them to bring Clearlake to Clearlake. And I've been in contact with CMOS I'm kind of jumping ahead, but when the youth center is open to get them more involved in, being at that facility and what can we do to work together to get more art and education about art to our youth. Go ahead. Third quarter events. So we had our first ever bunny brunch and it was quite fun. We had a lot of community involvement with that. Kathy was out there making pancakes. Lieutenant Peterson was out there making pancakes. Don Smith was washing dishes from Adventist Health. So it was quite fun. And we brought in about $700 in revenue. This weekend, Saturday, we have our annual Clearlake cleanup. And hopefully we get a lot of community involvement with that. We typically do. Lots of people come up. I did get an email from the Upward Bound program. We should have about 20 of their students from that program coming out to get involved. Here's some pictures. Here's some pictures from our bunny brunch. yeah, we had fun. Go ahead. We have adult programs that I'm trying to work on. And then in August, we are planning, and I don't have all the schematics and the details yet, but I'm working with the Cornhole Association to come up here and help me create an actual cornhole tournament through the Cornhole Association in California. And then it's getting to be nicer weather. We want to get low impact exercise programs out at our parks and at the senior center. Go ahead. Future of recreation, I'm actively researching grant opportunities and what we have feasible for the management of those grants. We're working on the 23-24 schedule for next year. I found it's easier to get the word out if people know in advance when the events are, or that they can count on an annual event, like it's going to be the first weekend in May or something of that along those lines. But again, this was the first year, so we're figuring out what works so that we can make it better next year. And we are looking forward to the opening of the youth center when that is done. So May 6th is our Soapbox Derby, the Robert Viramontes Memorial Soapbox Derby. The race starts at 9 a.m. on Dam Road Extension. This year, Canocta Unified has purchased cars for all of their schools. So it should be pretty exciting to have more involvement other than, city staff and our police department. So I hope to see everybody out there. But yeah, that's happening on the 6th. The 29th, so next Saturday, is our first comedy club fundraiser for the recreation department. We have 2 comedians coming. The tickets are $60. They include dinner, dessert, and 1 beverage. And it should be fun. So, and that is at the Corneliuson Center. And again, doors open at 5 o'clock, dinner, and the auction starts at 6. Okay. That was our new logo for the Soapbox Derby. But if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer, or you can email me or contact me directly.
Yes, Mr. Gordon.
Ms. Viramontes, if someone wants to participate in the Clearlake Cleanup Day, could you give some details on location and time for that?
Yes, sir. Saturday morning, this Saturday, the 22nd, we will meet out at Austin Beach. There'll be the pop-up tent that says Clearlake. We will have waiver forms and sign up because we kind of want to know who is where so that we can account for everybody. Sign-ups are about 7:30. And we'll have a kickoff meeting at 8. Then everybody can disperse to various areas that you want to clean up, whether it's your front lawn or your business, or just the beach side or the parks. And then everybody can come back around 12 or before. And then at 12 o'clock, we'll serve a hot dog lunch for those who have volunteered.
That sounds great. Back to what we used to do.
Yes, sir. I see you out there every year.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much for getting that together. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Any council members have questions? No, appreciate what you're doing. I can't imagine why a comedy club, style dinner couldn't be just anything but fun.
Right. I did miss it in the presentation, but I have worked very hard with the members of the Clearlake Chamber, and I feel a great camaraderie now with them. And I feel like we're going to be working together, and it's only going to help events. It's going to help the businesses. And I'm looking forward to what is going to come of that in the future.
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Yes, you do.
So, but I will. No, do we know how many hits and likes and things that we're getting on our social media page for some of our events? Are there things that you could share with anybody watching or in the media about how we could better share these events in our communities?
I feel like the more the businesses put it out there, and I feel like that is going to get better working with the chamber because they have a lot more influence with the businesses or reach with the businesses. And, you know, I've partnered with the senior center before, and I think that helps. I found that ticket sales or, you know, attendance clicks from the online portal, not very much, but then it's overwhelmingly, you know, packed or a great deal of attendance at the actual event.
Great.
So I don't know how to change that, but I'm open to suggestions or ideas, and I expect to make it bigger and better every year.
Thank you, Tina.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thanks.
All right. Moving on to public comment. Public comment is a time that any member of our community or the public can address the city council for up to 3 minutes on an item not on our agenda. Due to the Brown Act and the limited exceptions, city council members cannot typically respond to questions asked or comments made during public comment. But if possible, we would direct you to one of our department heads who might be here in attendance. Is there anyone wishing to speak? I have one person who's put in a request to speak. Kay Lopez wants to talk to us about the Clearlake Animal Shelter. Come on up, Kay, and introduce yourself.
My name is Kay Lopez, and I feel that this shelter in Clearlake has failed the animals in more ways than one. So I'm here to at least be able to have 3 minutes worth of concerns to go over. My first experience with Clearlake Shelter was in the summer of 2017, and it was an overheated auto shop, triple-digit heats. The second one, and they were pulling animals out because they were overheated. The second one was December 2017, freezing temperatures in the auto shop, auto repairs, still these dogs in there. But I was told when I came before everybody that a new shelter would be put in place. Okay, that didn't happen. When I went into the shelter on March 21st at 2:30, and I'm going to show you some pictures. I saw dogs in kennels, very small, that is not meant to house dogs for a permanent time. And they were walking in poop and urine, and they couldn't get out of it. So I want to show you some of the pictures. Here is the auto shop, and here is the dogs. One dog in poop and urine, and he can't get out of it. So, and this was about 2:15, 2:30 in the afternoon. Here's another one. Poop and urine. He can't get out of it. I yelled for somebody to come out. Nobody came out. I yelled again. Nobody came out. So I took pictures. Here's one. Poor dog. No way can he get out of that. And I have stacks of pictures. Here's another one where the food is 2 days old, and you can see the different, it's all faded. The dog didn't eat it. Here's in the kennel blood. That's blood from Guardia. Why didn't this dog go to the vet? And the dog's name at that point was Dennis. So somebody had mentioned, hey, don't you take these dogs to the vet when they're sick? And an answer online was, come on, Guardian goes around because the vet charges up the ass for meds. Seriously, you should know how much these things cost. So they admitted that the dogs aren't seeing the vet. Here's another dog that was injured in a dog fight. And there's the holes in the dog. And it wasn't taken to the vet for a week. And by then it couldn't put weight on that leg. Here's where they
your 3 minutes, ma'am.
throw the blankets. No wonder Guardia is rampant in there. I was freezing the day I went to see these dogs. And I said, hey, this is impossible. I mean, it's cold in here. It was pouring down rain. So here's the temperature. This was in December 18th that this was taken, 39 degrees. But they say they keep the dogs warm.
Hey, can you share those with Lieutenant Peterson, who's conducting the investigation?
I did.
This
I
matter.
gave, he got, yeah.
Okay,
But I want
Thank
you
you.
to know, and I
Thank
want you to feel free to contact me because I'd love to sit down with more stuff because I'm going to be back. So I know you guys hear this.
okay,
Clear
thank you.
Lake.
Your time's up, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to have something that shows us when those vets come in to check these dogs, when and what were they checked for? I think that's public information.
No, ask Lieutenant Peterson, please.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll be back.
Hey, is there anyone else wishing to speak at public input, public comment? If you are, please make your way to the podium. Is there anyone in the Zoom? Madam Clerk, or you're wanting to speak at public comment?
Yes, sir. And I'll make it within 3 minutes.
That's fine.
So on April 9th, we had our first bunny brunch. It would not have happened without community involvement, staff involvement, council member involvement, and community. So I have a couple of presentations. A lot of it is for staff, which I did not bring presentations for them, but I have them. And a couple of the people who are going to receive certificates are here. So I'd like to just announce, even if they're not here, I'd like to announce who they were. First one is Adventist Health. Not only did they contribute financially, but they were also present and helped. Joyce Overton. Foods, etc. They donated all of the food. Let's see. Anna Rose Hermosillo.
Thank you.
Robert Coker and Bunny Carter.
Well, there you go, Robert.
Clearlake Police Officers Association.
Well, there you go, Chief.
And Michelle Perry Higgins. Just real quick, it was suggested to me that when I had posted on Facebook that, we need contribution and anything helps, somebody suggested to create an Amazon wish list, and that just took off like wildfire. I had people from other towns and the Bay Area just sending candy and other things. So that was quite nice.
Miss Higgins is a neighbor of mine. If you'd like, I can get her that.
That'd be wonderful.
You bet.
An Amazon wish list.
Oh, okay.
I could show you how to do it. All right, thank you.
Oh, here we go again.
Well together on trying to do buddies.
All right, public comment is still open. Anyone wishing to speak and or address the council is welcome to come to the mic. Madam Clerk, is there anyone in Zoom that would like to address the council?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
Very good. We'll move past this item and on to our consent agenda.
I move to we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, we got to do the electronic. All right. Looks like it's passed. Madam Clerk, could you read the vote?
Councilmember Slotin,
Aye.
Councilmember Overton,
No, just that it was unanimous.
motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And now we come to our emergency item, Mr. Flora.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council members. So this project is primarily, so this is the 18th Avenue project. The council authorized me to execute the construction contract on April 6th. And, we've been working with the contractor on preparing for that. But part of the funding for this was through the California Transportation Commission. So there's a pot of funding that the city is eligible for. We loosely call it the self-help funding, but it's open to jurisdictions that have specific local revenue measures for roads. And so there's a sort of annual amount that we're eligible for, and then there's a separate competitive pot of funds that we can apply for only because we have Measure B and jurisdictions that have similar measures. So we're eligible for 500,000 for this project, and so there's a two-step thing. I forget when it was initially approved by the Transportation Commission earlier this year. Okay, March. And then they wanted to come back later for final allocation. Our understanding at the time was that we would have to wait on actually executing the contract until that second step happened. But when Public Works Director Leyva was working with them on the details, they let us know, well, actually they moved. We had some issues with the timing of the commission and all that. We had to work with some of our state representatives to kind of get that part back on track, but it will be heard at the May meeting. But the commission's policy is that they will not approve an allocation before, or they have to approve the allocation before not only I execute a contract, but that you authorize the contract to be executed. So what they're asking us to do is to rescind the action of April 6th. May 17th and 18th is when the commission will hear the item. They will do the final approval of the allocation, and then we'll have to come back probably with a special meeting to again authorize me to do the contract. We did look at a few other options. We don't have to use that 500,000 for this project, but they said that we will lose the funding if it's not allocated for a project by July 4th. We don't want to lose $500,000, and there really isn't a time to pivot because of this two-step process. So we just found that out all this week. And so at this time, we're recommending that the council take action to rescind the action of April 6th, authorizing me to approve the contract for the 18th Avenue project. And I do want you to know that our contractor is aware of this. We've been in a lot of communication and don't feel like that it will significantly impact the project schedule. So,
what day again would it come back to us? May what?
Well, the CTC meetings are, as I understand, it's 2 days of meetings, the 17th and 18th of May. At this point, we don't know which of those days this item will be heard. That's a Wednesday and Thursday. So we could, come back on Friday or sometime the following week with the item to approve this and get things back on track.
Thank you, Mr. Flora. Any questions? Anyone from the public wanted to make a comment on this item? Anyone on Zoom, Madam Clerk?
There is one hand raised on Zoom.
Please introduce yourself and ask your question.
Hi, everybody. This is Holly Roberson, Counsel for the Khoi Nation of Northern California. I just wanted to ask for you to clarify, please, when you say the 18th Avenue project, could you be a little more specific as to which project that is exactly?
Mr. Flora?
Well, I mean, it's the only project we have. This is a project at 18th Avenue connecting Highway 53 to Old Highway 53 through the old airport site.
Okay, so this is you're saying that you're moving forward with contracting and construction for the project, which is in active litigation right now?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you very much for being clear about that.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wanting to address the council? Seeing none, I'll bring it back for action.
I move that we rescind the authorization for our city manager for the 18th Avenue Extension project.
Second that, Mr. Mayor.
A motion by Councilmember Slotin, a second by Councilmember Kramer. All those in favor, or can we do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Slotin,
Aye.
Councilmember Overton.
Aye.
Councilmember Kremer,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Claffey,
Aye.
Mayor Purdock.
Aye. Passes by the 4/5 necessary. Correct? Have a unanimous vote. Very well. Moving on to city manager and council member reports. Mr. Flora.
Sure, Mr. Mayor, council members, a few items. So as the council is aware, the last 3 days, about half of city staff have participated in leadership seminar here. So I think overall went quite well, and staff were engaged and valued the opportunity. So we'll be more rolling out related to that over the coming months. I wanted to give a little bit of an update. There's what we call the IIG grant, which is an infill infrastructure grant from HCD. I've mentioned this to the council before that we applied. Initial plan was to apply for a little over 14 million for some housing and infrastructure related projects. This is related to the Canocti Gardens project on Old Highway 53, and then renovation of some of the old mobile home parks further south on that. Unfortunately, HCD kind of dramatically changed some requirements of the program right in the middle of the process. And, I won't go into all the details here, but we are working with our state representatives again on this, but we reduced the scope of the project because of some of the eligibility requirements. So it's just slightly over 5.5 million now. But this would include infrastructure upgrades on Old Highway 53 between Olympic Drive and Lakeshore Drive. So it still be a good project. It would help the Canocti Gardens project, but quite a bit smaller than what we initially hoped. As we understand, we're the only rural community in California that applied for these funds. There's supposed to be a specific rural pot for that. So anyway, we're hopeful that while the project's a little smaller than we would really like, that could still get a good project out of this. So we'll keep you posted on that.
Is there a timing when that would be granted?
Well, their goal is to have everything allocated, all the funding allocated in, I think, by July 1st. So it's a little more of a quick timeline than what we normally see, but there's some pressure to get the funding out. And that is a critical part of this because in order to meet all the requirements for Canocti Gardens, they have to be leased up by the end of this year. And so this would support some of the offsite, both traffic and water line improvements associated with that project. We had a little walk around with some of the Blue Zones representatives this morning. They're looking at a couple of projects they can get involved in Clearlake and Lakeport. They really want to do something kind of around the Austin Park area. So we're just kind of kicking around some ideas with them. We'll see what comes out of that. I did want to mention the Hope Center. Some of you may have heard a little bit, but there's going to be some transition related to the oversight of that. Hope Rising, it sounds like, at least in relation to the Hope Center, is going to be transitioning out. The oversight and management of that facility is going to be overtaken by Adventist Health. It's their intent to continue operating essentially the same way. So as you know, the city did give them funding for that, and we have an MOU with Adventist Health that ensures that they would not convert that facility into some clinic space that would just benefit that. They have requested, I just received it today, some language changes to that agreement to further clarify the intent between Adventist Health and the city. So I'll be going over that with the city attorney and see if that's something that's within my scope or needs to come back to the council. But the goal is for it to be a seamless transition. I've talked to CEO of Adventist Health a number of times about this, and their goal is not to push people out on the street and lay off employees, but there will be a point in time where the doors officially close and then reopen again under Adventist Health's umbrella. So if you have any questions related to that, follow up with me later. The other issue I wanted to bring up that you may have heard a little bit about, and there could be some more, is just related to recycling and redemption of recyclables in the city. As you know, our redemption center has been closed for a period of time, but the grocery stores and other facilities that sell beverage containers recently got notice from Cal Recycle that their exemption is going to be pulled back. So the way it works is without an exemption or being served by a redemption center, grocery stores or other places are supposed to accept empty cans and bottles at their location. And if they don't do that, then they have to pay a daily fine to the state. For a number of reasons, most of the facilities don't really want to accept, large bags of recyclables at their deli counter or whatever. And so I just want to let you know, I've had a few conversations with Cal Recycle. We're working with our waste hauler to try and find a solution here. It's been a struggle to get a new redemption center in or near the city that complies with the zoning ordinance and kind of the needs of the community. But I think there's a couple paths that are looking okay that we might be able to find a temporary solution while a more permanent solution is set up somewhere. So I have communicated with not all of the folks, but the ones that have reached out and are sharing the information that I have. And so just wanted to share that in case you get any questions about that. That it does look like there's a path forward, but it's a little frustrating. As an example, none of the grocery stores in Lakeport and some other communities, they've been granted exemptions. There's not nearby redemption centers, actually much longer than the lack of one here in Clearlake, that haven't been impacted by this yet. And any chance you get, I know some of you have already, but I think continually bringing up to our state representatives that the state needs to find some solution to the recycling debacle will be helpful to continue reminding them.
So just to clarify, Lakeport still has an exemption? Clearlake doesn't.
Well, technically the sort of either accept recyclables or pay the fine doesn't go in effect until July 1st. There's sort of a process involved, but they've been notified that they're unserved and the exemption is going to be revoked. So they did say that they're reviewing other areas. Not that we're trying to get Lakeport in trouble, but it's definitely being handled a little differently right now, primarily just because of, I guess, the recent closure of the one at Burns Valley Mall. So
Thank you, Mr. Flora. Councilmember Overton.
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Very good. Councilmember Kramer.
Not very much to report. I went to an RRA meeting, it's the only one that I've made. I've had to miss a couple of other groups meetings due to unexpected things that have come up. But I do want to, one thing I do want to do, and I've been driving, up and down Lakeshore Drive and Olympic, and really it hit me. Austin Park is beautiful. It is the best I've ever seen it. And I want Addie for you to thank your staff, and I'll try to thank them directly, but you've done an amazing job. And I think it's the pride of Lake County, in my opinion. So just wanted to let you know that.
I do want to add on the, after you made that comment to me, I did share that with our park staff that you specifically made that comment, and they're very appreciative. So they're very proud of the effort. So
You deserve the thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Slotin.
I don't have anything to, no. Didn't attend any meetings, so nothing to report.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor.
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor.
Well, that was easy. Well, I just want to add on to Councilmember Kramer's comments because I was going to mention that as well. Driving by, seeing the kids playing in the park, seeing the kids at the playground, it's fantastic. Seeing families walking around and getting some exercise. It's everything we wanted and hoped for in that park, and I just can't wait until we can keep moving forward on our other parks and projects. So kudos to the staff. And with that, any future agenda items? Nope. Nobody's hitting me over the head with one, so I guess not. We'll move on to closed session. We will adjourn and close this meeting, and we will reconvene in 5 minutes under closed session.
Russ?